My name is Jenny Melrose, and I am here today to talk to you about how to monetize a blog at any age. Today, we're going to be interviewing Cathy Lawdanski from My Side of 50. But before we dive into that, I want you to make sure that you hop down into the comments and save your seat for my masterclass, which is how to attract your dream sponsors and not sell out in the process. So if you've been wanting to pitch brands in order to make money off of sponsored campaigns as a blogger, as an Instagram influencer, even as a YouTuber, you're definitely going to want to save your seat for the masterclass. All right, let's dive into this interview with Cathy. So Cathy, tell me about your site and why you started it.
Okay, it's My Side of 50. It's a blog, lifestyle blog for midlife women. Now, I'm gonna be 60 this year, but I started at 57 because I put it as My Side of 50 for whatever side of 50 you're on when you're kind of in midlife. And I started it in 2015. 2015 was a rough year. I lost both my parents within 7 months of each other. So after my mom died, I had to, I quit my job as a nonprofit administrator to take care of my dad. And he died a few months later. And that was just, I mean, of course, you lose your parents. It's shocking. But everything I was going through as far as learning about their medical care and end of life stuff, I'm like, when I was raising my kids, there were a million books written about this stuff. There was nothing out there about taking care of aging parents and a number of things that midlife women go through, like relating to adult children and their spouses and your changing body and everything. There just didn't seem like that many resources. So when I started My Side of 50, I was going to kind of talk about medical care and stuff like that. But I thought, you know what? I just lived that. I don't really want to write about it. So I just started writing about the things that my friends and I talked about, because in my age group, I wasn't the only one that was going through all of that. So that's why I started it. And I just kind of, of course, no idea that you could make income from it. I knew I wasn't going to go back to the nonprofit world, and I just started doing it. It was kind of like a turning point in my life where I was going to be brave and put myself out there and do something I had never done. So that's kind of how it got started.
And I think that's absolutely amazing, because it was your outlet to kind of let, get out of your head and feel like you're giving resources and helping other women that are going through the same thing, like your friends. And I think also, like, my mom is in her 60s, but she struggles with the technology side of things. And I think I even struggle with the technology side of things because I didn't grow up with a cell phone or an iPad or all of these gizmos and gadgets that my kids can pick up and just start using. And the fact that you jumped into this online space, which can be so frustrating when it comes to the technology side, and you just took it on and you ran with it and you figured it out as you went.
Right.
I absolutely love that. And I think that it takes a certain type of person and certain types of people, because I know that we have others, like in our membership site in particular. I know Marisa is here watching, Dawn, who actually I work with too. She, you're at that age where you figure it out or you don't. And I love that.
Yeah. Well, and I was like, I have to tell you, my mom at 82, when she died, was on Facebook. She was very technologically savvy. All of her bills were done online, everything. And then when I was in the nonprofit world, part of my job was managing a WordPress site. So I didn't know a lot of technical stuff, but I knew how to post and how to put a picture up there.
Right.
And I had to do a little bit of social media. I didn't really have any strategy, but I knew how to do that. Facebook started when my oldest daughter went to college. Her freshman year, you had to have a college address. But I remember being so intrigued with that because I wanted to see what her and all of her friends were doing. So I had to, get her to let me look and all that kind of stuff. So at the beginning, I loved Facebook. It was a way to keep up with all those kids that I loved, know what was going on. So Yeah.
Yes. No. And I mean, we have comments that are coming through that they're agreeing with you. Like Dawn just said that she asks her kids, that she asks her 30-year-old to help her with certain things. And they just, because they grew up more with it. So they understand it and they're able to just get on there easier. My mom will often say to me, I don't see your blog. Are you still blogging? I know you quit teaching, but are you still blogging? And I'm like, Ma, yes, of course I am. She's like, well, I don't see it on the Facebook.
Yeah, my parents would not understand blogging, but something. My grandson is 9, and he's going to be a YouTube star when he grows up. And I have a pitiful YouTube channel of 4 followers, and he found it, and he's like so embarrassed by that. But he promised me that when he's a YouTube star, he would promote my channel. But he's very excited about my 4,000 followers on Twitter, which mean nothing. But he just thinks that's awesome. So anyway.
I love it. And it's so funny because they all do want to be YouTube stars. I actually recently put up an Instagram story. I caught my daughter at my sister-in-law's talking into her teapot because she could see her reflection. And she was saying, okay, guys, put your thing in the comments. Let me know what you think about this episode. And I'm like, oh my God. And I said to her, what are you doing? She's 4. She's like, Ma, I'm a YouTube star. And I'm like, oh dear Lord, YouTube famous.
You don't have to pay for college if that's what you're going to do, but whatever. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yes. All right. So let's get a little bit more deeper into your, as you've kind of grown, what has been your biggest obstacle, would you say, to overcome on your site?
Out of all of the millions of blogging activities to do, figuring out the priorities, what were the most important things to reach my goal? Because when you first start, you're reading all this blog posts and well, they say this before Facebook Live, they say you need to build a Facebook page. So you're doing that for a week until you see something on Pinterest. And then you start building your, it's just chasing squirrels all the time. Yes. So that's been the biggest obstacle. And I finally getting a little bit of a handle on, well, of course, now I am very focused on making an income from my blog. It is a business. In a business, you need to make money. So what activities are going to generate income?
Yes. Yes.
And you're frozen again.
No, so I'm still here.
That's my biggest struggle. Let me see if I can refresh you.
Okay. So while she is refreshing, I think a lot of us definitely, let me see some emojis, please. If we all struggle with that feeling like you're a squirrel kind of chasing the nut, trying to figure out what is the right thing to be able to do to move your business forward. I know I still struggle with this myself. There are definitely times you're back. You're totally fine. And I just kind of went off what you were saying, Cathy, because you knew that you were frozen. So that was perfect. Yeah. So Dawn actually asked while you were there, she said, how did you get a handle on that? So explain a little bit, I guess, more about how you figured out what are your priorities. So Rita, do you know Rita?
Rita, I love her. I'm so excited that she's watching me because I watch her all the time, and I think she's the best person on Facebook Live in the world. Okay, well, I did a big, at the end of 2016, had been a year. I did a big evaluation. I looked at my Google Analytics. I saw what posts were popular. I listed my top 10 and my bottom 10. I looked at where my traffic was coming from. And so at that time, I wasn't into Instagram. So I was trying to build page views. That was a year ago. So, okay, what's bringing page views? This type of content and these 2 social media channels. So I made up my mind I was going to focus on them for that year. And that year I did not do much with Instagram because that was not my focus.
Yes.
Because I really, by the end of the first year, I'm like, I cannot do a million link parties and share groups and all this stuff I was doing. I was driving myself crazy. So that's how I decided. Now, this year, I still need to, I'm still looking at my content to see what my readers want because I want to work with brands and I want to make an income that way. I'm spending time following what you taught us in the Pitch Perfect Pro course. That's a priority. And I'm looking for affiliate programs that my readers will like, and I've tried out too. But it's things that I've bought that I've liked. So that's how I've decided what to focus on. So I'm not doing anything with Stumble Upon. I'm using Twitter only for doing, the brand work, and I'm kind of limiting. Like we even had this conversation today. Like I'm spending 10 minutes on Twitter, 10 minutes on Instagram to do brand work, and whatever gets done in that 10 minutes gets done. Setting a timer, that kind of thing. So,
yes. And I think setting that timer and having that limit is so important. Morgan actually said, she said quitting link laps and share threads was one of the best decisions she actually ever made. And I can totally agree with that. Like once I realized to like stop chasing the page views that weren't authentic, which link ups and share threads, they're not authentic. Like that's not your audience. It doesn't tell you anything about your content and what you need to continue to grow with. And I think that I actually recently had a conversation with Morgan about trying to figure out those tasks to get done and make sure that they are put into a time limit, exactly like you said, because otherwise, let's be honest, you can get lost into Facebook on going through your thread for an hour, and all of a sudden you look up and you're like, holy crap, what did I just get done? Oh, nothing.
Right. And the other thing I really focused on last year too was getting better at SEO, so my posts are found in organic search.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Yeah. And I think that SEO and Instagram, which you just said, are two things that for me, I have had like a mind shift around. And I think it's because, when you first start, everybody asks, okay, how many page views? How many page views? And you just chase those page views like a maniac. And like you said, Instagram, we were having this conversation beforehand, it doesn't drive the page views. But what it does do is it builds that authentic audience that builds your brand. Mm-hmm. So you and I have had conversations. I've been talking to the membership site. We've been talking about Instagram stories for about 6 weeks now. And I actually did a training yesterday with Carla Bisinger, who was the one that kind of like pushed me to make that mindset change, to really understand that Instagram is important if you want to work with brands. If you want to really get to know your audience, for your audience to trust you, it can speed up the process. So I think like that is definitely something that if you're not really sure, I feel like you're at your next level. Right. Once you come to the decision that Instagram is an important part of what I need to be doing.
Well, and I will tell you, my actual audience, my authentic audience right now is still mostly on Facebook. Some are on Instagram, but
yes,
it's not large. It's largely other bloggers in my age group who are watching my stories and stuff, and brands I tag. So it's building relationships with brands, but it's also building relationships with other bloggers in my niche, like I was telling you a while ago. So my niche is very specific. I do recipes on my blog, but food companies probably a lot are not going to work with me because I'm not a food blogger. So I have to kind of, that's just kind of a fun thing I do. But so I've kind of struggled with thinking outside the box of brands to contact. And so I've just started watching other bloggers in my niche and looking at their sponsored posts and contacting them and say, I saw you did a sponsored post for these eyeglasses. Would you mind sharing your contacts? And if I ever have one on my blog, I'll gladly share the contact with you. And so far, they've been very receptive.
And I love
contacts or to get ideas on, the types of brands to contact.
Yes, because, everybody does their own thing. And I think, so often we feel like we're competing with each other when in reality, you have a very unique perspective compared to what someone else your niche is going to have that perspective. You're not going to compete with each other. You have different audiences. And I did want to say to you that I think you're probably going to see a shift in Instagram over the next, I'd probably almost say the next year, because what's happening is the 30-somethings that have kids are starting to use Instagram stories, and the grandparents are coming onto Instagram to watch their grandkids in the Instagram stories. So I think you're going to find some of your audience is going to start coming over. So it's going to be about needing to train them to let them know that you're there through like your list and things like that. Letting them know, hey, listen, be sure that if you're checking out your grandkids on Insta stories, make sure that you also check in with me because I'm on Insta stories sharing all my tips and tricks behind the scenes.
Well, and I will tell you, I had dinner with my 2 girlfriends my age last night, and one of them said, oh, tell your daughters I watch all of their Insta stories, and I love your little Jeffrey starting to watching my grandkids. So yes, once grandma gets the hang of Instagram and can see video clips of, you know, her grandkid throwing goldfish on the floor, that's where we're all going to be.
It's so true.
I will refresh.
Okay, it is so true while she is refreshing. That it's amazing. Like I literally just walked my mom. I had forced my mom into Snapchat when I was like big into Snapchat. But then when Instagram came along and created stories to take over because they didn't want you going over to Snapchat, it totally changed the way that I started using it. And my mom is now on Instagram, where before she wasn't on Instagram. You're back. Yeah. So yeah, that is definitely the case. Like Instagram, you're gonna see that audience moving over. And it's just gonna be about letting them know that you're there too. So that yes, they go to watch their grandkids, but if they're also following you, they'll be able to see your Insta stories as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry about the phone in the background. I'm going to grab that as I ask you the next question. So I am always preaching about the importance of a list, which is also why I kind of brought that up. Can you tell me about yours?
Okay. I probably didn't have a list until late into the first year because I thought, I'm writing everything in a blog post. What am I going to put in a newsletter? But I paid attention, and so I started a list in MailChimp, and I did that for about a year. And when I knew I wanted to get, well, there was one point I thought I was going to want to be Jenny Melrose before I even knew you, but I thought I had a lot of things I learned in the first year of blogging. So I did want to write some posts about blogging and be an affiliate for some of the courses I took that I really loved. So I did start a blogging list and started for about a month, did a blogging newsletter every week, which was too much. But I do have a small list of bloggers that I communicate with when I find something really like a good training or whatever, or an affiliate product. That's not my main audience, but I like sharing with bloggers, and it is a good revenue source because a lot of blogging products pay a good commission, you know, affiliate products. So I switched to ConvertKit a year ago so I could have my 2 separate lists and tag people. I know you can do it with other programs, but MailChimp wasn't very nimble at that time. And that was a hard decision for my audience. That's $29 a month. But I will say last year, I doubled my subscribers. So I went from 250 to 500. That's not a huge list, but I have a very engaged list. I probably get at least a 36% open rate, 18 to 20% click rate. So I have a very engaged list. So, and I love writing my newsletter every week because I share my own stuff and I talk about things that I wouldn't do in a blog post. And I love, cultivating other blog posts that would be of interest to them. It was funny in this week's newsletter, other bloggers' blog posts got a lot more clicks than mine. So I'm like, well, whatever. But anyway, yeah, but it tells me they like the content. I'm giving them something of value. So, and I know they trust me because I am selling this course called Adore Your Wardrobe. I'm an affiliate and it's open right now.
Yeah,
and I
Kelly Snyder.
Email on it on Sunday, and I had one person email me and one person call me. Well, the problem call me is a friend about it. So, but see, they're reading that and they say, I really want to hear what she has to say about it. So it wasn't just like another sales thing coming to their inbox, which I was so afraid of. So, yeah. So I know I'm speaking to my audience where they are, and that was an affirmation of that.
Yes. And I absolutely love that because that's what it's about. Like even when it's whether you're being an affiliate for a program or if you're sponsoring something, you want it to be authentic That's what the brands are looking for. Those are the types of people, you are the type of people that a brand wants to work with, because you are so authentic that your audience understands that they know, like, and trust you. So if you recommend something, it's not a sales pitch. It's a friend recommending something. You know, if my sister-in-law tells me, hey, this purse is what you should buy, I go and buy that purse. I know she knows fashion. I do not. And it's the same thing for you. And I love that about that.
Thanks, Morgan. And Rita asked me, do I send out RSS? Yes. No, I quit doing that because I wanted to communicate with my newsletter. So they get one newsletter a week. And in there, I'll put like the post. I had a guest post this week was party food for special diets for getting ready for the Super Bowl. So I got to write a whole introduction about that, introduce my guest blogger, and then give a link to the blog post. And then I have a couple other appetizers from previous posts. I said, you might also like blah, 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 you know, kind of thing. And then I am not a fashionista, but my audience loves fashion. And the most clicked things are whatever I click to at Chico's or Talbot's that are on sale. So I'll put a couple of little links in there. I mean, I get 5 cents a click with shop style and maybe a little commission, but they love it. They want to see what's on sale and what's cute. And then I'll always include, I have buffer. So I have analytics, so I can see, well, what was the most clicked posts of the week on Facebook, my Facebook page. So I include those, and then, you know, just stuff like that. So I get to give them a lot of stuff and talk about it.
Yes.
So, yeah, so it's been an excellent relationship builder.
And I think that that's so important that it's not just RSS feed, because I think when you just send the RSS feed, it just comes and it looks like a boring sales kind of email. But when you're actually writing to them, like you said, you give them something different than even what's on your site. You have that conversation with them, that when you do have things in there that you're an affiliate for and you're recommending to them, that's why your click rate is so high. Like 18 to 20%, it like gives me goosebumps when you say that. And I think that was one of the first things when we had our first consult together. You told me about your list, and I'm like, holy moly, it's amazing. So I absolutely love that. Okay, so my next question for you is, you became a member of Mastering Your Influence, which is the membership site, because you purchased the gold membership for Pitch Perfect Pro. Yeah. Tell me all about your sponsored work prior to taking Pitch Perfect Pro. What did your sponsored work look like?
I had a few posts in exchange for product, mostly clothes and stuff. And that was okay, but, you know, I figured if I got paid for a post, I could buy a lot of clothes, so I didn't really need a free outfit.
Right.
And I've been working with networks, applying, and I had one for incontinence products, which is my audience too, but I'd only gotten one for all the work I did. So, of course, last 2 years I've invested a lot more money than I've made in my blog. So Pitch Perfect Pro came out. I'm like, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it for a week. I'm not buying it. I cannot spend more money on a course, not buying it. And finally, the last day, I remembered I emailed you because I thought, I'm not big enough. I don't have enough followers. Yes. I don't have enough page views. Brands will not want to work with me. And you emailed me back like right away and said, no, this is really, you're in a really good spot. So I figured, I don't know if you had some kind of guarantee, like you'll double your blog income or something. I don't know, something. I thought, you know what? I'm just going to in for a penny, in for a pound. I'm going to go all the way because I can probably make this back.
So I love that you just thought that I had a guarantee, but you're not sure, because you told me before we got on, like when you actually made it. So my guarantee is that you double your income in 90 days.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
I tripled it. Let's say I quadrupled it. So, and I was even writing in my newsletter, because I put a little thing for bloggers about Pitch Perfect Live. The last post that I have a contract for is 125% more. My rate, I'm getting 125% more than I was with the network. And I'm just getting started. And it blows my mind. I'm sending these proposals. I'm like, oh my God, nobody will ever pay me for that. And they don't even negotiate. I'm like, so anyway, yeah. Oh, and Rita, you are so authentic. Brands would love for you to do a Facebook Live. She thought she was too small too. So anyway, Yeah. So I did. I quadrupled it by the end of the year. And I was just telling Jenny before I go on. I mean, it's kind of nice to get these sponsored posts. Typically, everything gets due in 1 week, which is the week I'm having. So I'm kind of ready for a break. But yes, following the system works. It did. So I took Pitch Perfect Pro in August, and things didn't really start clicking till the 1st of November. I remember we had a conversation.
Yes, I remember this conversation.
And you're like, okay, it's like a numbers game. Just keep at it. And I did. And I got a hit, and then I got another one. So it's just, you just got to work the system. And eventually, if you follow what you've set out, it will work.
Yes. And I love that, because I remember that conversation, and you were frustrated. And when people come to me with those, it's not an easy conversation, because I'm like, you have to just keep at it. And it's hard for me. I'm the type of person where I have thick skin. Like, I can keep going and going and going. And I think, we had that conversation. So taking that, and I think Angel had put it in here before, like, you had blind faith. You were like, all right, if she's telling me this is going to work, I'm just going to keep at it. And you did. Like, you hit that wall, and all of a sudden now you're slammed.
Yeah. It's probably going to be like that. I'll probably have a drought and be slammed, but that's okay. That's kind of the way it goes. Yeah.
But the great thing about the difference that you are compared to working in the networks where you get slammed, and then working where you're actually reaching out to the brands yourself and then you get slammed, is now the next step, Cathy, is we're going to turn these that are one into multi contracts. So long term. So we're going to turn them into 3 months, 4 months, 3 different posts that you're going to end up working for that same brand that you work for once right now. That's the next phase. So you're not getting slammed, so that your calendar's full.
Slammed is because one post is for a network, and they give a week's notice with all of these requirements. When I'm working with a brand, they're like, well, what kind of turnaround time do you need? And I'm like, well, I need the product by this and blah, blah, blah. Okay, this one brand, get this, said, okay, well, when you send the contract back, are you going to go ahead and send us an invoice?
Yes.
Pay me before I do that. I'm like, well, I'm thinking, well, I was going to do it after 30 days, but yes, I'm going to send you an invoice. So yeah, it's just amazing.
Yes.
It makes, yeah.
And you know what too is going to happen with those networks is that instead of feeling like you have to take it, because I remember at that point where it was like, I didn't have them quite consistent yet, because I had just started the process of like really figuring out how to pitch. And then I was able now, like, I don't apply to the networks anymore. I don't need the networks anymore, because it has become consistent, but it always starts with that one, proving myself, showing them I can deliver, and then turning around and being able to repitch them for, instead of one post, now I'm pitching for at least 3, and the contract's much larger.
Yeah.
So Rita actually just asked a question. I want to make sure we answer this. She says, what do you mean by a network? So go ahead, Cathy.
Well, there's different groups that are like the middleman between the brand and the blogger. So you like Massive Sway is one I'm working with, and the other one I've gotten some posts through is Collective Bias.
Yep.
And so you apply with them, and they accept you, and then they present all these opportunities, and you apply for them.
Right.
Apply through them, but they say, you're going to do this kind of post this way, and here's the rate. There's no negotiation or anything like that. I will say, from Pitch Perfect Pro, even if you don't go out on your own and want to continue to work with networks, I'm getting a lot more hits because I know how to do those applications now and how to present myself. So, but with the networks, it takes a while to get in with them, to do a post that they see they can rely on you, and they don't pay as well. But you know what? It's a start, and I'm still going to apply for a while and I'm going to complain about it all the time until I get a more consistent income, because they're paying sometimes. But you know what? When I first started, I didn't know there was any different way to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And neither did I. That's how I started, was within the networks as well. And there are times when a network will reach out and I will take it because the pay is decent. So Rose actually just asked the question, what kind of rates are you seeing with the networks? And I think that it really varies on the network. Like some of them, I feel like it's Collective Bias. It used to be Social Fabric years ago when I started.
There are 3 different names. That's weird.
Yes.
Collective Bias, Social Fabric, I'm seeing $2 to $250. and Massive Sway is $350, but they're requiring a lot more. Like I have to send in all of my pictures and my posts and even what I'm going to say on social media for approval.
Right.
That kind of thing. But
yes.
Still, for my size audience and what I'm charging, $350 isn't bad. So, and it's also helped me seeing what kind of companies are wanting to work with bloggers. I'm not saying the companies that the networks are working for are necessarily going to work with me, but for example, this one with Massive Sway, I'm doing a post for vision insurance as a supplement to Medicare, which gave me this whole idea of types of companies I can approach on my own.
Right.
So that's another advantage. I would say anybody starting out, get in with some networks and give it a shot, because you will learn a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And you see what other bloggers, I've seen some wonderful bloggers and the networks do their sponsored posts in such an authentic way. I've learned from them. So that's the other advantage to some of the networks.
Yeah, absolutely. Rita is asking, is there a list of networks somewhere? I have a blog post on jennymelrose.com. I'll put it into the comments when we are done. That does list out a bunch of them. But it all depends to the one thing that I do want to make sure that I say, and it's nothing against the networks, but you have to read their terms of service and their contracts. And normally what happens when you sign up for a network is it has a little button, like they all do on the internet now, where it says, I agree to the terms of use to work with the network. And you're supposed to click on something and go read their terms of service and what you're agreeing to. Well, a lot of times we don't read it, right? Like, let's be honest. We're like, yeah, I want to get paid. Click, we're good. I do want to, once you get in with networks and also working with brands, is that you can charge more when you are giving them rights to use your content. And a lot of times with the networks, you are giving them the rights by checking off that I agree button, and you are not getting paid more. A lot of times you're actually getting paid less than what you would make if you pitch the brand or the PR company directly. So you just want to make sure that when you do sign up, read the terms of service, understand, like, you're looking for about rights, about them being able to take your post that you put on your blog, a recipe, a tips, whatever it might be, and have the ability, you're giving it to them to take the entire post and then put it up on the brand site.
Yeah.
Pictures, everything.
But listen, and there's even one really big one that basically says, if the brand doesn't pay us, you don't get paid. They don't say it just like that, but that is
right.
what they're saying. So you want to see, like, one says, well, we're going to pay you within 45 days, one within 30 days. But yeah, so I'm not going to take the chance that the brand's going to renege and then I won't get paid for my work. So
right.
Yeah, you're right. You have to read it and see what the terms are. Yeah.
Yes. And as far as getting accepted, Rita, it's not normally hard necessarily. Some of them do have, like I know Tap Influence for a while had like a certain amount that they wanted to see as far as page views. So some of them will sometimes have it. There are so many out there that you can apply that you can absolutely, like, you'll definitely get accepted to some of them. And especially if, like Cathy said, you're doing Facebook Live, they're looking for that. And brands are willing to pay for that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. All right, we already talked about that question. So what would you attribute your success to?
Well, taking Pitch Perfect Pro. I really think that doing the gold membership where I got the coaching calls with you helped me move a little faster because we could focus on my specific business.
Yes.
Which I would not have gotten if I hadn't gone to the gold level. So I'm so glad I did that. And I just worked the system and I didn't give up.
Yes. And I think that is a huge, huge piece of this, because I talked, there's plenty of other people that are gold members that I've worked with that they hit the wall, and instead of going over the wall, they stop, or they kind of like start to scramble and they redo things, or they stop pitching or stop following up. And your ability to just continue, trust the process and go through it is definitely like you just
paid off. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's what we see a lot of times with bloggers that are making an income, that full-time income. Those big name bloggers that you think about, like you think about the ones that have like huge Facebook pages and you know that they're making a decent income. It's because when they hit that wall, because I guarantee you they all hit that wall, they went over it. So even like Kitchen with My Three Sons, we all know has a huge Facebook page. I know her personally, and I know that she got to a point where she was really frustrated and didn't know what to do, but she kept going and she kept trying to figure it out. And that's the resilience that you have, Cathy, is huge.
What I have to say too is I had to tell myself, I really thought about this because I'm, you know, when brands don't respond and you're thinking your blog's crappy and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I thought about how many companies approached me for a free review for product. So I thought, there's nothing wrong with your site. If they want to put their product on your blog, they see something.
Yes.
So your blog has value, and if you don't put value on it, nobody else is. And you know, one of the first brands, you know, nobody ever has a budget. Well, I will tell you, within 2 months, they came back and they had a budget for it. All of a sudden, money appeared. So,
yes.
And of course, you know, you get a couple of sponsored posts. Your confidence builds. But yeah, if you have brands approaching you for freebies, your blog is good enough for sponsored content.
Yes. And I think we just have a tendency as women, as bloggers, not really knowing, seeing all these other sites out there. And you see people saying, oh, this is sponsored because they've got hashtag ad in there. But it doesn't mean that they're getting paid millions of dollars to do that. Like, for all you know, that could be an exchange of product too. And we immediately go to, like what you said, like thinking it could be our sites and, oh, we're not good enough.
Yeah.
And when they say to you that they don't have a budget right now, that is normally, they're being honest. They're not trying to like push you off. I am working with a brand right now that I pitched them a year ago.
Right.
A year ago, and then met them at a conference, stalked them at the conference, introduced myself. The conference was 5 months after I first initially pitched them. They still, after the conference, told me they don't have a budget. They then followed up with me in like October, November, and were like, hey, we want to do, it's a multi-contract, multi-post contract now, and starting in January. And that was a brand that didn't have a budget, but the second they had a budget, because I put myself on their radar.
Yeah.
Because that's what it really is, guys. I cannot emphasize this enough, is that when you don't reach out to the brands that you know, use, and love, they don't know that you exist.
Exactly. Yeah.
The only way for them to know that you're out there is for you to reach out and explain to them what makes you different and unique and why you would be perfect because of your audience. So
yeah.
Absolutely. I'm so excited for you. You've just done such an amazing, and knowing that we had those conversations where you were definitely down and then you still overcame, I think is one of my favorite things.
I had to pay back what I paid for the course. That was a big incentive to me. So
yes, absolutely.
So, and I kind of like doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Rita is asking a question. I cannot end our broadcast without answering this question because I think it's such an important question. If they approach you for freebies that you'd love to have, do you ask for payment too? So I am one of those bloggers that I am big on the whole, let's lift each other up. Don't ever judge each other. If someone wants to work for an exchange for a product and it's something they value, then yes, have it work in exchange for a product. And because they pitch you for product doesn't mean that they won't compensate you. So I actually, Rita, have a renegotiation script that you can actually use so that you can tell them that you are looking to get compensated. Again, as soon as this broadcast is done, I will drop it into the comments so that you can get your hands on that. But pretty much what it does is it tells them that why you think the product is perfect for you and your audience. And then I use a line, in order to keep the integrity of my site to my readers and any previous brands I've worked with, I only work on compensated content. I'd love to send you my media kit and a proposal for your review. It's straight to the point. When you do this, it can turn around and they say to you now they can come back and say to you, well, listen, we don't have a budget right now. We'd still love to send you the product. So at that time, if it's a product that you value, you can turn around and say to them, I am willing to do this in exchange for a product this time with the hopes and the anticipation that we will work together in the future on a compensated contract. So
yeah,
absolutely can turn those around. Those are actually some of my favorite campaigns to work with because you get those PR, releases that get sent out to hundreds of bloggers, and they have no idea if you have 5 Facebook followers or 500,000. So if you're professional and you respond back to those kind of pitches, that's going to get you much farther than turning around and telling them, well, can you pay your mortgage in granola? Because I've had bloggers tell me that they've sent that back to a brand. And
it's just snarky. Doesn't get you anywhere.
exactly. It doesn't get you anywhere. Where it does get you is probably your name passed around to other PR agencies about how snarky and rude you are. So definitely something to keep in mind. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, I hope you found that interview really, really helpful. As you could see, Cathy was able to quadruple her income in 3 months, and it was primarily from pitching brands to work on sponsored campaigns. If you haven't saved your seat already, please hop down into the description. You can make sure to save your seat for my masterclass where you'll be able to attract your dream sponsors and not sell out in the process. I appreciate you all so much for watching along. Please make sure to subscribe. And I would love it if this is the type of content, if you are an influencer, if you would just give me a quick thumbs up on the video so I know to continue to create this type of content for you. All right, guys, I will see y'all soon.